Hello amigos! Welcome to your performance novela, Us the Performers. In this episode, we're going to talk about a topic that was directly requested to me. This request occurred in one of the sessions we had recently in our JMeter group in Spanish. In that session, I was attacked with non-stop questions for about an hour, and among those questions, the subject of APMs came up. And believe it or not, due to the limited time and the amount of questions, I could not explain much about it, which brought the need to explain it later. For this reason, by popular demand, today we're gonna talk a little about the APMs, what they are, how to eat them, and what they taste like. So, to get into the subject, I think the first thing that we should describe is what the heck does an APM mean? Simply, APM is an acronym, an A, a P, and an M. But like everything in this life, that might seem simple, but it's not so much in reality. This is because one of the words that these letters refer to has changed recently. Originally, APM was the acronym for Application Performance Monitor. And you may wonder, is it that simple? Didn't you say that the acronym had a trick? Well, it does indeed. Because the M is which has changed its meaning recently. In these modern times, the M doesn't stand anymore for monitoring, it stands for management. So now the acronym stands for Application Performance Management. But as you can see, APMs have always been about application performance. And now you may be wondering, why did the APM change the surname? Perhaps there were conflicts and there came a divorce from Mr. Monitoring and now APMs are with Mr. Management? Well, to explain this, first we'll go into a little bit of a history lesson to understand why it has changed from being monitoring to administration. In my times, APMs only monitored and displayed information in graphs and tables, but they almost did nothing else. They had somewhat limited capabilities. I remember they were a bit ugly, like those monochromatic terminal programs. And also, they tended to be somewhat heavy. That is why they had the reputation of affecting the performance of the application they monitored, which on many occasions was true, up to a point, especially when we did simulate load tests on them. The APM saturated the application quite a bit. I remember that. But what was most important was that it always gave performance metrics. Remember, not everything in performance is load testing. Well, now, in the modern days, the system have evolved a lot, to the extent that they do not longer monitor only, but also manage. They do management. Alright. Before describing what this management consists of, let's go a little deeper into what modern APMs do. Then we will describe what this doing management means, and finally we'll give you a short list of the most popular ones. First, modern APMs work through a program that is installed on the machine that we want to monitor and manage its performance. This program is known as an agent. And just like in the movie, these agents are going to be in charge of monitoring everything that's in the system. But if your application consists of several computers, you will have to install agents on each of the machines that we're interested in being monitored or that consist on your system. But again, before installing these agents, you will have to define the language of the application that they will monitor, as well as the operating system of the machine. This is because some agents have different versions depending of if the application is reading on .NET or Java or Python, or they are mixed mutants or any others. And some APMs also have agents that can universally detail everything that currently exists on the machine regardless of the programming language. Once installed, the agents will get into the engine of our application and they will discover the elements of it as well as monitor them automatically. The elements that will be monitored can be from response times in methods, inside of classes, API services, database queries, and many, many more things. So, upon discovering the elements of the application, the agents will semi-automatically create a topology map of the solution. This map, the topology map, is very different from a network map. It is more like an amusement park map, indicating where people will pass and go through, instead of an architecture blueprint for the construction in the attraction park. The agents will be sending all this information to a central server, which we could say is the brain of the APM. This central server can receive metrics from agents dispersed over many machines and from many different applications at the same time. As you can see, you can receive metrics from agents scattered everywhere. Now, these metrics are mainly divided into two types: constantly received and second, based on events. The first ones, the constant ones, are metrics such as the CPU, RAM, disk, network, in general, the four horsemen of the apocalypse, among many other metrics. And second, on the other side, the ones based on events are those that will be metrics generated as a response when an event occurs in the application. That is, those events are like when a user clicks, start a command, type into a search box, something crashes, and others like. But those based on events mainly will report response times during these events or when something bad happens. All these can be generated by a human being or also an automation. But remember, not everything has to be automated or do a load test. The interesting thing is that when something gets out of control, the APM even allows us to see details inside of the event to find the source of the problem. In other words, maybe the bottleneck. This analysis gives us the possibility to analyze lines of code, calls to the database, which may have bad queries, unnecessary repetitions of code, waiting in the network layer, and many other things. Here, the potential to find something is extremely high, and we can find performance problems right away without even having any automation. This lack of automation is mainly because the metrics are reported by real users, not only these automations. Remember again, not everything is automated load. And well, let's move on to the pending part that I was owing you from the beginning: management. The great novelty in the world of APMs is that with these metrics and through the advances of a world that is now connected by different APIs and services, now APMs can react to changes in the metrics or even broken SLAs or errors when they happen. These changes are such as an example, if some response time is bad or goes above what is good or grows a lot, they can roll back a code release, or they can restart a service, shut down a container, and many other actions that may be needed. Practically everything that has an API point or that can execute commands can be managed by the APM. And that's not all. Modern APMs also have their own APIs, so we can ask them for info, send them info, trigger commands, trigger actions, and do many more things. And well, at last, let's move on to more or less the commercial part of this episode. Let's see what APMs are in the market today in this glorious 2020. The most popular and robust, as always, are the paid ones, the ones that cost you. In this category, we have Dynatrace, App Dynamics, and New Relic. There are many others, or some others, that are also beginning to gain strength in the pay category, but I don't dare to mention them yet because I have not used them or heard enough of feedback from them to, mention them a lot. And on the free side, we have such as Elastic APM, Pinpoint, Apache Skywalking, Stage Monitor, Java Melody, and many more. But as it is usual, by being free, they are not so pretty, polished, and bright. They require as well some extra work and knowledge to be implemented. This is more or less of a disadvantage because they require more specialized support. On top, they generally do not always look, as I said, pretty, bright, and cute as the others, as the paid ones. They also do not have bright dashboards with transparencies or viewers in mobile apps. They tend to be actually a bit ugly, but also they are very functional if implemented well. And okay, amigos, that moment has sadly come again. For today, we will leave it here, but as usual, if you want me to talk about some other topic or give more details on the topic that we spoke about today, do not forget to leave a comment down here in the comment section. Thank you, amigos, take care, and see you on the next video. Adios, besos.